All right, so here's my audience. My name is Brianna Hellyer. Today's date is August 4th, and the speech password is kitten. Imagine that every time you look out your window, all you see are acres of lanky corn stalks and miles of soybean fields that continue on forever. Every day I pass these vast, monotonous fields, and I'm reminded of how our country's farming practices impact each and every one of us. For over the past 6 years, I have been watching dozens of documentaries and doing a lot of research to see how these GMO crops affect myself and my family. Genetically modified crops have been causing debate not only in our own country, but also around the world. So I'm going to share with you why these crops are not safe for you, your family, the environment, or the world. But first of all, what is a GMO? A GMO stands for Genetically Modified Organism. And according to GMOfilm.com, a GMO is an organism whose genetic material has been altered through genetic engineering so that it can exhibit a desired trait. GMO Insight also states that GMO crops first began dominating our country around 1999. Some examples of the most popular forms of GMO crops include corn, soybeans, cotton, sugar beets, papaya, zucchini, and canola. According to the film GMO OMG's website, over 85% of all processed foods contain some sort of GMO ingredient. The first claim that pro-GMO supporters state is that GMOs are safe for your health. However, according to the Non-GMO Project, most developed nations do not consider GMOs to be safe. In over 60 developed nations around the world, including all of the European Union, Australia, and Japan, there are severe restrictions and even bans on the production and sale of GMOs. The United States is one of the only remaining developed nations that continues the production and sale of GMOs. The effects of GMOs are still largely unknown. This is because there is inadequate testing being done. According to Fagan, Antonou, and Robinson, safety testing of GMOs is done primarily by the genetic engineering companies that are looking to commercialize them. One example of such a company is Monsanto. Monsanto and other GE companies are using short-term safety testing, which means that we are unable to see the long-term health effects such as organ failure, reproductive issues, and even cancer development. These tests are causing biased results to be shown, and is showing that there is a huge conflict of interest. Fagan also stated that there are some common health reactions that have been found in studies done with mice that have eaten GMO products. These include hormone imbalances, developments of cancer, infertility, allergic reaction, among other immune diseases. GMOs alone may or may not be safe. Again, this is due to the inadequate testing that is being done. But we do know that herbicides and pesticides have effects on our health. According to a study done by Southern Connecticut State University, over 75% of all genetically modified crops are resistant to be tolerant to be sprayed by the pesticides and herbicides. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup, a common herbicide, and it has been linked to cancer among other health issues. A second claim made by GMO supporters is that they do not harm the environment. According to Marla Spivak in her TED Talk from 2013, our honeybee and bumblebee populations are dramatically decreasing. From 1945, just after World War II, to 2007, the bee population decreased from 4.5 million bees in the United States to just over 2.2 million. This decrease in bee population directly affects our food supply. The fruits, vegetables, and nuts that you love, such as apples, almonds, and tomatoes, all require bee pollination in order to produce fruit. So as we see a decrease in bee population due to herbicides and pesticides being used, we will see a decrease in these foods in our food supply. A study done by the Society of Chemical Industry states that GMOs sprayed with herbicides such as Roundup contaminate and pollute our soil and groundwater. This means that wildlife is being harmed and you're being harmed as you are drinking tap water that is polluted by chemicals. The industrial farming technique known as monocropping is also depleting our soil of valuable nutrients and minerals. Monocropping is when a farmer plants one crop, such as corn or soy, each and every year on the same fields. A third claim that is made by GMO supporters is that GMOs will increase crop yield, and thus it will help prevent and end world hunger. According to Fagan, yield cannot be genetically modified into a crop. This means that the yield of a plant comes from breeding improvements and not a gene that can be inserted into a specific plant. A study also states that Europe's mostly non-GMO plants actually produce a higher yield than the United States' mostly GM plants. GMO crops like corn, soy, and cotton are produced with industrial purpose. This means that these plants that are produced are not meant to be eaten. Examples are high fructose corn syrup made from corn, cottonseed oil from cotton, and even soy lecithin, which is made by industrial means and inserted into your favorite food products. Now, you can make a change in the world. By taking action, you can stop these big agricultural companies from using you and your loved ones as subjects in their GMO experiment. The first step is understanding that GMOs hurt your health and your loved one's health, they hurt the environment, and they do not help the world. I then want to encourage you to donate to GMOinside.org and become part of the movement to have GMOs labeled on our foods, just like they are currently in Europe and Australia. As the animal rights activist Jane Goodall once stated, "Someday we shall look back on this dark era of agriculture and shake our heads. How could we have ever believed that it was a good idea to grow our foods with poison?"